Hi, I'm Wiley.
And I'm Maddie.
And it shouldn't happen again.
Boom, boom, boom. Oh, that was kind of cute.
Thank you. I was going to serenade you, and then the man took my guitar. Because I said, are there any other instruments in here besides the guitar? And he goes, no. And I said, okay, I was bored of this. And he says, okay, I'll actually take it. And I said, no, I'm not done with it. And then he stood in the doorway and just looked at me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, you can have it. Let me go get the case. And he just stood there and looked at me. And I said, okay. And so I went to go get the case. I'm checking Jackson's game schedule right now. Okay. So my song for this week is Long Live, because this girl didn't live long.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my case is Denise Huber. Yeah. So we'll just get into it. Actually, do we have any news? Oh,
we actually have quite a bit of news.
Yeah. We just got back from an excursion last night. Yeah. And we have ops now. I hope the TSA judge actually listens to it. If she doesn't listen to it,
if she does, then what did we do, girl? I can't wait to see the rubric.
Why did we lose? We didn't even place. Like, we didn't get first, second, or third, which means
definitely got
suck.
fourth. We got fourth.
Yeah. Right, lady?
I really hope we get our rubric back and we got like a point.
Yeah, I hope we got 0 points.
I hope we got 0 points too.
Like, that'd be funny. Because then
that'd be kind of iconic. Like,
yeah, how do you get to semifinals and then score 0? Like, we're the top 12 in the state.
If they give you under like 20% of possible points, then they have to have like a judge and stuff look over like another like higher up. That's what it says on the rubric.
Yeah. But yeah, but everybody else won, and it was really happy. Not everybody else.
Not everyone else, but a lot of other people, and I was really happy for them.
Yeah,
they all seemed really happy, and it was a good time.
They were really sweet. We had a lot of fun. Oh my God. There's this shout out to Crazy. Okay. I don't know who needs to hear this, but Ariana Grande is getting out of control.
She's stealing people's hair, husbands' houses, jewelry.
Now that she's dating Jeffrey Dahmer, she's stealing people's hair. And we actually, when we were on our excursion, we encountered a lady. So Ariana Grande is on the loose. She's dating Jeffrey Dahmer now. She dumped SpongeBob.
I don't know what happened to SpongeBob, because literally I was at Whiteley's house on like last Friday. We're filming on a Thursday, so 6 days ago. And she was dating SpongeBob, and we were talking to her little brother about how she was dating SpongeBob. And now, apparently, she's dating Jeffrey Dahmer, and it's a lot for me, because I don't really understand it.
And when we were at our little conference, our nerd competition, we literally, like, we were at Pop, and this poor woman came up, like, she talked to us, and she told us, she said someone is coming to her in the middle of the night and stealing her hair. And also stealing her jewelry, her cars, her house, her husband, and her jewelry. If you didn't hear me the first time, she said it twice.
So then we were sitting there, we were discussing, like, after we had left the woman, of course.
Yes.
And I'm like, I wonder who they are. And then we remembered the song 7 Rings.
Yeah.
And, well, here lately we've been hearing a lot of TikToks about how Ariana Grande steals people's boyfriends and husbands. And we're like, wait.
Okay. Her husband was stolen.
She sees it, she likes it, she wants it, she's got it. Like that woman's hair and her rings.
Her jewelry and her jewelry again. Like, it just makes sense that Ariana did this. And I feel like there needs to be justice served, because this woman... I can't do it. This woman was... She was very concerned. And...
She has 7 rings, so it makes sense that she went back for seconds, because like she stole 3 the first time or something, and then she went back and got the other 4.
Yeah, like
it's a lot.
Ariana Grande, I love you, but you need to be stopped. Hold on, I want to get my slime.
Someone needs to get you under control, like your manager. Yeah. Your publicist needs to. Actually, her publicist is pretty good, because we're just now finding out about this, and this has been going on for a while. Like. And then, like, Ariana's got that long, luscious ponytail.
Like, where do you think she gets all that hair from? This woman. Ew, feel this.
Ew!
It's so wet.
Why is it, like, solid? Was it not closed all the way?
Oh, my... It was in my car, and it was cold.
Mine was in my car, and it's like, I mean, it's like a little more solid than it was, but it's still like.
Ew. Okay, anyway. But no, like, Ariana, if you hear this, please give her hair back. Also, this lady had a luscious head of hair,
Like,
so I don't
a
know.
lot of hair. So I think if someone's been stealing in the middle of the night, I think she can afford to lose some because, like.
Yeah, but also you shouldn't be stealing people's hair.
No.
That's our PSA. Ariana, please give her hair back.
Someone needs to stop her.
Yeah, and then the lady started talking, like, and no one was there. Like, she was clearly thought someone was there. Like, she was...
It was probably, like, to the ghost of Ariana.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of.
Oh my god, speaking of Ariana, have you seen that, like, Quiet on Set documentary about, like, Nickelodeon? And, like, how Dan Schneider was, like, crazy and everything? Like, an abuser?
I haven't seen the documentary. I've heard that Dan was an abuser.
Yeah, I want to watch the documentary so bad because I think that's so interesting. Like, I read Jeanette McCurdy's book, and he had a part in it. Like, it was really interesting. But yeah, okay, now we can start. Okay, so my case today is Denise Huber. I listened to this over the summer with my mom, and it's really weird, and I like it. So, Denise lived with her parents, Dennis and Lone Huber. They were just enjoying, their summer in upscale Southern California, because that's where they lived. And just some background on Denise. Denise had graduated with a degree in social sciences from the University of California, Irvine. And at the age of 23, she continued to live at home with her parents, as I said, while working at a local restaurant. And Maddie, it's not the same one, but she worked at the Old Spaghetti Factory, which Maddie and I, that's near and dear to our hearts. That's actually where we got married.
Yes.
That was our venue. So the, in June of 1991, the trajectory of Denise's perfect life was, so when everybody in the Huber house woke up on June 3rd, they found that Denise's bed was empty. And the night before, she had gone to a concert with her work friend, Rob.
Rob?
Yes, her work friend, Rob.
Rob's my work friend.
Yeah, except not anymore in 2 weeks.
Not anymore.
So they were like, oh, maybe she's just, like, out still. Maybe she spent the night at her friend Tammy's house. Or, like, her and Rob just, like, had a good time and crashed somewhere. And so they were like, okay. But then when they got back home from work that evening, she still wasn't there. So they were, like, worried. So in order to, like, see where Denise was, they called her friends and they were like, where is she? And to their surprise, she was not with Tammy, her other friend, or with Rob. Neither of them had, like, heard from her that night.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Yeah. So that when they contacted Rob, he was like, she dropped me off and then I didn't see her after that. So they were like, okay. And they were determined to figure out what happened. So Denise's friend Debbie decided to, like, get in her car and retrace the route that Denise would have taken to go to the concert and to drop Rob back off at home. And when she was driving around, she made a shocking discovery. And that shocking discovery was that Denise's car had been left on the side of the road in, like, a freeway. And it was, like, kind of isolated. But, like, diseases. Jesus. Denise was nowhere to be found. So they were like, what the flip? Also, this is episode 20, if you didn't know.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Turn down
Okay.
My slime is so gross.
I'm really sorry. Like, that's, like, I'm looking at it. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to go get more.
Yeah. So, Denise's car had a flat tire, and there was a pair of pantyhose that was abandoned in the front seat, but nothing else was in the car. Her purse and keys were missing along with her, and that was, like, that made everybody really scared, which, like, makes sense, because you mean her car and pantyhose are there, but she's not, along with her keys or anything. So the police came to where Denise's car was, and they searched for clues, dispatching helicopters overhead to just find any sign of Denise that they could. And everything was still missing. So they even called in like the canine unit to like see like where did she go, and they traced it 75 yards away from her car until it disappeared, and they were like, what? So the following morning, investigators met with the Hubers for an interview, but when they asked if they thought that anyone would want to harm Denise, they had no ideas. Denise was like, she was like really loved, like everybody liked her. She didn't have any enemies. Like she was a server at the old spaghetti factory. Everybody was just like, oh, Denise, she's great. Like nobody would really want to harm her. So investigators began to trace Denise's steps on the night before she went missing. So first, as we know, Denise had met up with Rob for the concert that night, and that made him...
What concert was it?
They were like, okay, so we need to question Rob, obviously. And at the station, Rob confirmed that he had gone to the concert with Denise, and then they'd gone out for drinks at a local bar afterward. And then at the end of the night, around 2 a.m., Denise dropped him off at home. That was his story. Rob ended up passing a polygraph test, so they were like, okay, we need to consider other subjects. Now, suspects, not subjects. Hello. His other friend, Steve, who Rob claimed was romantically involved with Denise. So they were like, retro. But then his alibi was cleared, so it wasn't him. So as the case wore on, like they went back to square one. Like all of their like leads went to nowhere, so they were back at square one. And Denise's disappearance made local headlines, and her parents appeared on many TV like appearances to plead with the public, like, if you have any information, please tell us. So everybody was kind of fearing the worst because they'd not heard from her in so long. And they'd received like thousands of tips, but none led to useful information. So it was kind of like, well, we have to call it cold. So that's exactly what it did. Like the case went cold, and everybody was like, okay, well, now we had no answers, and her parents were devastated. And unfortunately, they would not get any information until 3 years when progress would resume. So it was actually how this case got solved. It was 2 people that never knew Denise, like, ever.
And we are those 2 people.
Well, let me tell you. Retirees Jack and Elaine Court moved to Prescott Valley, Arizona in the 1990s and began to settle down by selling paint sun-dries for the local swamp meet. So,
the what?
I don't know.
The local swamp meet?
That's what my notes say. Yeah. But they sold paint sun-dries. In July of 1994, they met a newcomer to the flea market scene named John, who said he had also been selling paint-related items. So they're like, oh, this John guy, like, he may have inventory and stuff that we could use for our business. So John was like, you know what? Just, like, come over to my house. And, like, I'll show you. So they were like, okay, sure. And once they, like, got to the house, they're like, okay, this is sketch. So they're like, what is this? Because they saw a moving truck that was parked in his backyard that looked like it had been abandoned. And there were, like, a bunch of tree lines growing on it and stuff. So, like, they were like, that's sketchy. That's sketchy. And the couple, they were able to, like, buy their supplies and leave, like, without anything happening with John. But they were like, no, that's weird. And the moving truck that, was in John's driveway set off many bells and alarms, because according to John, he had just moved to town like 6 months ago, but there was no way, judging by like how abandoned the thing looked, like there's no way you've only lived here for 6 months and you have an abandoned car truck that's this overgrown. So they were like, it might be a stolen truck. So what they did is they wrote down the license plate number, and then they shared their concerns with the deputy officer who had come to buy like their paint supplies. We're like, oh, actually, let me give you this license plate. So they ran the plates and discovered that it was a stolen truck and had been stolen 6 months ago. So it's like, so then the deputy went to John's house, and no one was home, but they like further inspected, and they noticed literally so many things that like were weird in this house. Like there were chemicals on the outside of the truck, and there was an extension cord leading from the back of the truck to his house. So they were like, this could be a drug lab. So like less than an hour-ish later. Yeah, I told you.
I just remembered what case this is.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, I like remember this.
Yeah. So no, this one's silly.
This is me.
Yeah. Less than an hour later, agents from the narcotics team went and like got a search warrant and came back to proceed to check the property out. And in the back of the freezer, or in the back of the truck, and there was a deep freezer, and they thought that it was just drugs because like they thought this was a drug lab. But what they found was not, in fact, drugs. This is a quote from the Scott Masher, who was the sheriff of the sheriff's department, said, inside were plastic bags, obviously with something in it. There was an odor, and I noticed frozen blood in the bottom of the freezer. We cut the plastic bag open and peeled it back. I could see an arm, and as we began to open the bag more, it seemed to be an adult female. And so this victim was found on her knees with her head bent down and her arms handcuffed behind her back, placed in the freezer. Cloth had been stuffed in her mouth, and it was duct tape closed, and it was so gruesome.
Gross.
And again, this is 3 years after our after Denise went missing. So this is Denise, by the way. So investigators were like, what is this? Like, what is happening? And in the midst of processing the scene, John, who lived at the house and did all of this, pulled into the driveway. And so they're like, hey buddy, what's up? And despite literally having a body in a freezer in a stolen truck, he was like, oh my goodness, hey guys. Like, he was so calm. He was like fine. He was like, okay, hey. And they were baffled. They were like, why is this guy like so he was just so cooperative.
He's just a chill guy. What
yeah.
can I say?
And so they brought him
just like that.
Yeah, they brought him into the station, and he was really cooperative until they were like, okay, bud, what's in the freezer? And he goes, I have nothing else to say, and then requested an attorney. So he like refused to talk, but they had enough to take him into custody for murder and the theft of the truck.
You know,
he did have a body.
He did have a body in his freezer.
Yeah. But meanwhile, investigators transported the victim's body to the medical examiner's office where they would identify the victim. And while that was happening, they didn't identify it as Denise. They searched his house, and this is actually like, this is weird. I think I've mentioned this in another episode, but like they found like a bunch of weapons strewn about in the basement, and they found a blood-stained hammer and a dried tissue. And he had like these like boxes, and so like in them was women's clothing, purses, social security cards, and all of them were Denise's. Everything that she had on her when she died, he kept in a little box. And in another box, he had tapes of Denise. Like, you know how I said, like, Denise's family was always on TV being like, oh my goodness, like, please help us find our daughter. Mm-hmm. He had those on tape.
Which is just disgusting.
He would watch them. And that is disgusting. Like,
Ew.
How insane are you?
If I was at that level of insane, sorry, I'll restart this for you to make it easy.
Okay.
But if I was that level of insane, I would go and like find the family and become friends with them. Like, instead of the painting people, like befriending the painting people, I would have befriended her family.
Yeah, honestly.
And then like act like I was like helping search and stuff.
I'm glad you think about that.
No, I was just like thinking about it right now.
Yeah, no, honestly, that'd be more diabolical.
You make it sound like I like were playing this out for years. Like, I'm just like thinking of, like, no, I'm just thinking about it right now because we're talking about it. Silly.
Yeah, and then like in the back of the basement, he like dug an underground room, and they were like, what if there's more bodies in there? But they brought like out the cadaver dogs and didn't find any. But he was a repeat offender. And they began to like.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Wait, who'd he kill before?
Oh, we didn't. Okay. I should rephrase that. He wasn't a repeat offender, but he like had harassed a woman before and tried to kill her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, it led them to a woman who said she'd met John in Phoenix, Arizona, and he'd taken her to the middle of the desert and tried to strangle her. Alyssa looks real happy about that one.
She was just dancing. Like, people named John are just crazy. Watch out.
Yeah. So, he tried to strangle her. She fought him off, but she was forced to run to safety nude through the desert, which is terrifying. But, she never reported the crime because she was scared. But it like when she was given like a photo lineup, she was easily like she could easily identify John. And there were other women who like had said that he had come out and said that he had done stuff to them, like one said had handcuffed her to her bed without consent, and like others were just like really disturbing and violent manners that he did. Let me see how long he went to jail. Okay. And then in June of 1997, John was convicted of Denise's murder, and a judge had sentenced him to death. He is now a 66-year-old inmate that remains on death row at San Quentin State Prison in California. So yeah, he's on death row now. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's kind of silly because, we talked about that the other day, how, like, the death row people should be sent to space.
Yeah, like disintegrate or something.
Yeah, like, instead of the dog.
Yeah. We were talking about that at TSA. So yeah, that's all I have today. And it's long lived because she didn't live long. But this guy did live long because he's on death row.
Which is kind of odd if you really think about it.
Yeah, no, that's...
Like, why don't they just, like, not feed people on death row?
Yeah, honestly. But yeah, so that's all. Anything
Also,
else?
yeah, actually I have a few questions.
Oh, okay.
So, why is death row a thing? Like, why don't, like, they just, like, give them the death sentence and then, like, kill them? Like, why is there a line?
I feel like that they have to do it in a way that's not, like, illegal. You know what I mean?
Okay, but killing people's illegal.
Yeah, but, like, they can't just, like, shoot them.
Okay, put them in the electric chair. Like, let's get a move on. Because there's a line. Like, how many people are on death row?
Yeah,
like, a lot? Hold on. Are there a lot?
Because they have to, like, wait for a date. But that doesn't make it... Like, Ted Bundy was on death row for, like, 20 years. So was Gacy.
2,331. Like, why does it get backed up? Like, why don't they just kill them? Like, if they've been, like, I don't get it. I thought, like...
Why does death row take so long? They're entitled to certain appeals. But, like, also hundreds of people have been released because they were found innocent.
Oh.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But average wait time is more than a decade on death row.
And how long's this guy been on there?
Since 1997.
What the freak? Hold on. What's his name?
John Falamro.
Oh, yeah. I forgot John. Since June 1997. So, when is he gonna...
I don't know.
Can we go?
Yeah.
Ew, why does he look like that?
I haven't seen his picture.
He's got a big nose.
Okay, don't target me like that. Ew, he's scary.
Don't have a big nose.
He looks like... Okay, in this picture... Huh? In this picture, he looks like those death masks.
That made me want to die.
The idea you had of me.
Who was she?
Ew. He's weird.
He's so gross.
Oh my god, is that a thing?
Stop. It's a picture of the freezer.
Bah. Okay, on that note.
Yeah, I guess I'm Maddie.
I'm Wiley.
And it shouldn't happen again.
Bye.